All right. So Tyreek, about 47K. We just ran the numbers. About 47K in about 3 months here in these last 3 months, right?
Yes, and profit commissions.
Awesome, man. Just tell me a little bit about yourself. Kind of where you come from and what you've done thus far before, like TikTok Shop.
I grew up in California around the IE area. Some people know like Ontario, stuff like that. Then I moved to the high desert. It's like Hesperia, Victorville. And then before this, right out of high school, I started doing construction and made decent money there. Started at like $11 an hour when I was like 17. And then by the time I started doing this, I was probably what, 20, what, last year, so 25. And I was making decent money, like 45, maybe $50 an hour. But it's just way, way better. It's still plenty of work if you're going to be a top affiliate, but it's not backbreaking like other stuff, you know? So, you know what I mean? So, but it is mental. It is mental strength. It does take you mental strength to execute. But yeah, and then this has just completely changed everything.
And so, have you? I can't even remember if we talked about this before, but have you done anything with like social media or just content or like posting videos before TikTok Shop?
Yeah, I did. I mean, on Instagram and stuff, I've always been a recorder where like record myself. I always like to record stuff and take pictures. I kind of was into fashion. I had a clothing brand for a little bit, didn't really work out. I've tried drop shipping and all these online to build sites on Shopify and stuff, but nothing really hit like this. Nothing has really hit and made me money like this, though.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, TikTok Shop. It's genuinely one of those opportunities that comes around, every 5 to 10 years, where it's just like there's insane amounts of money to be made in a very short period of time. But just curious, like, so how did you come across like me and my content in the first place, and more specifically, like, what stuck out to you in terms of the way that I speak or just certain things in general?
So I was in a strange position. I think I found you in January of 2025. And that month before, in December, I did like a $14,000 month. But I knew like maybe this is luck. You know what I mean? Like maybe this, like, can I replicate that again? And so I was just like, you know what? I think I need some coaching. Even though I think, most people might be like, oh, I got this. I'm on this. But I kind of was like, maybe I need some coaching. And then randomly, one of your videos popped up, and I forgot exactly which one it said, but you said something, and I was like, man, let me go ahead and check out this guy. Then I started watching some more of your content and stuff like that. And then I seen that you had calls and stuff to, a program and stuff. And I don't know if I was one of the top first people. I think I was maybe one of the first, second people. And then yeah, we just talked for a little bit on the first call, and I was like, I think I'm gonna go with this guy. Like, I think he kind of knows he's all right. You know what I mean? He kind of knows what he's talking about.
And then, so I think you said something important too. So, and that gap from that big month that you had, which again, 14K is like very good, better than most people get to on TikTok Shop ever. Like, what was your thought process? Like, were you worried? Because I know you were. I hate to say the word struggling, but more so you took a big dip from that peak that you hit at. So like, what was your thought process when you were like, even though because most people coming off that big month, they're gonna be riding high
Yeah.
and they're just not going to even want to get to that next level. So like, what was your thought process? Because I mean, I would say it's probably different than the way that most people think.
Yeah, exactly. My thought process was like, okay, like the month before that, like my first month was in October. I did like 4,600. My second month I did 5,000. Then boom, I got hit with 14,000 plus like a $2,000 reward. So more 16,000. But I was just thinking like, I want to do this every month. Like, you know what I mean? I want to do this every month. And also and like you said, like the next month I got close to 9,000. I got 9,000, but I want to hit bigger numbers. I want to be more consistent. I want somebody to show me what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong. Almost like a teacher or a test. Like if you're just, filling in the dots in a bubble question and you get some right, that doesn't mean on the next test you're going to get it right. So I understood that with my mindset. I was like, okay, I need to like master this craft, and I'm not going to be able to master it unless I know somebody who's mastered it himself. So that's where my thought process came, is like, let me get somebody to sharpen my edges and get me to where I could do this consistently, consistently. I don't want to just do 5,000, then 20,000, and then back down to 3,000. Like, that's not what I'm here for. I quit my job to focus on this. You know what I mean? And so that's why I really wanted somebody like you to really sharpen me out and tell me like, okay, this, yes, no, yes, no.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so in terms of, I always like, so my favorite thing is like after that first call, because again, the way that I've done TikTok Shop since I've been on this platform is mostly different. It was vastly different from the way that you were doing things, in terms of how you were, structuring your accounts, how you were posting products, etc. So like, what was your initial thought after that first call? Were you like, this is crazy, like I've never even thought to do TikTok Shop this way? Or were you like, okay, I see what he's doing and why it works specifically?
Me myself, I'm very much of a student all the time. Like, I was very shocked. I didn't understand a lot of the stuff that you were saying. It's not that I didn't understand. I was shocked. I was like, what? I didn't know about this. I thought it was just, you see a trending product and then you just, have fun. You just go make money. But that's not what it was from what you explained. And then I was still kind of like, I don't know. Is he sure? Like, I was still telling you, like, is he sure? But then after some time, like, I could just see the better views, better sales, better everything after over time, and being patient and trusting the process kind of, and going with your principles and completely deconstructing my mind and ripping down all that and kind of just putting new software in there was very important.
One of my favorite things is I think this is like the third weekend or something like that, and we were going back and forth on this decision what you were going to do on your account, and I was saying one thing, and you were like, "Are you sure about that? Are you sure about?" I can tell you were like, it was like just fighting every ounce of your brain, and then
Uh-huh.
I'm glad that you did stick with. Not saying that I'm right in every situation, but everything that I base this off of is just data that I've seen from the past 12, 14 months. So I am really glad, and that was still the product when you made that decision to stick with it. Was one of your top products this month still.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I've had to fight myself. There was times where I was like, I'm just gonna change it. I don't care. But then something inside was like, don't change it. Just keep going. Like, don't even like, just keep going. And yeah, it paid off. It actually paid off. Stop being hard headed, and you know what I mean.
That's the most important thing too. Is I think it took some rewiring in the beginning, because again, this is vastly different than the way that most people do TikTok Shop and just structuring their accounts, which again I think is where most of the money is. And for people like you, or anybody that's watching this, it's like if you've gotten to a couple $1,000s plus in a month, it's just like you're probably not even in the right situations, and that's where most people mess up, specifically. So that was really cool for me to see. And so in general, like the process of like making content specifically, like is there something that sticks out to you, like, man, like I was doing this entirely wrong? Not even getting to like the specifics, nitty gritty, but just like your overall thought process on how you see content and how just you're doing TikTok Shop in general.
Yeah, now I've gotten to the point where it's more about quality over quantity. I remember when I just had one account, I was just pushing videos, just 5, 8 videos, 10 videos a day. But now, I mean, since the things that you've taught me and whatnot, I've going more product research, more this and that, and getting to know the actual product and getting to know how to lay out the video format. And now it's just more about quality, like, and the more quality I put out there, the better the sales are. It's not just throwing a wet noodle at a wall and just hoping it sticks. Now it's kind of just like making a great video, you know what I mean? Making a good video and having the highest chances of every video doing something, doing some damage, you know what I mean? One great video is worth 20 regular videos, you know what I mean, of somebody just throwing it out there. That's kind of how I rewired it, is quality. And at first, when you first begin, I recommend everybody just get your reps in, you know what I mean? Learn the right ways still, but get your reps in, get comfortable to be in front of a camera.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I know, so from the way that you were doing things, because obviously, now you're focusing more on, I always tell people, and I think this has been the case for you too, where you start with quality. Most people start with quantity and then they try to fix quality. It's like you got to have quality first and then quantity. So I'm curious, like, what has like the time commitment for you changed? I mean, I think I know the answer, but like in terms of time commitment, like what's changed in your process in actually making videos in general?
Really looking at the data and breaking down good videos that I've posted and good videos from even other creators. Like just looking at what's working. Why did this work? You know what I mean? Is it a good hook? Is it a good hook and then the reel in? Because you got your hook and then you reel them in. Is it that reel in? Is it what I put on the screen? Is it my tone, my background? Like, is it all these things? So now it's like more putting all these pieces together instead of like before it was just like, just let's make a good video. Let's just try to just make a funny video or a good video or a decent video. Now it's like putting all this stuff in stew, taking your time with the actual gathering up all the knowledge and all the pieces and putting it all together in one good video. You know what I mean? It's not, I'm saying I'm not gonna make a good video a great video every time, but I'm making the best video. Just higher my chances of going viral, getting sales, getting conversions.
And then, so were you? You can give your honest answer. Like, were you surprised at one the results that you got overall and where you're at? And then, to the kind of a backup question, that is like, how confident do you feel moving forward for not just the next month but the rest of the year? And who knows whether that's TikTok Shop or just content in general, wherever this goes.
I'm actually extremely confident now. Like last month, I think it was like me getting everything because I got some new accounts, some new stuff going on. So it's really me like kind of figuring out my routine and putting everything in place. And then and then actually that in March it was like that. And then in April just kind of like execution. And after executing, I just feel confident. Like I just feel like I could just make it blow up. Like I could just do it. After the data, after seeing it's still kind of difficult trying to find decent products here and there, but sometimes it gets like that. However, I feel very confident in going on the rest of the year, just understanding, looking at the notes I've taken from you, looking at our conversations we've had, all the stuff I've written down. I could always go back to it and see, what's going on, like what I'm missing, what I'm forgetting about, having to remind myself, you know what I mean?
I think you can agree. In the beginning, you're kind of doing, again. I've been coining this term more and more, the hope and pray method.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
The confidence in having a strategy behind what you're doing, and I think that's where confidence comes from. And I've definitely seen it from you in the past 3 months or so since we started, is just like having a logic and a reasoning behind everything that you're doing, and that this for sure now. I mean, I knew this in the beginning, but it's like you have the skills to do it over and over and over again. So that's where
Right.
the confidence comes from, when you have data and things to back it up, and you're not just posting random products and hoping you have a record month. It's like, I think we already kind of talked about this earlier. It's like I fully expect you to beat what you did last month because of everything that you have built up. Like, we were just getting started. You were dealing with some other stuff, like a lot of things that could have gone wrong, in the previous months back in, I guess that would have been March, did go wrong, but you still pulled 10K plus with just about everything that can go wrong that went wrong. And then I think the fruits of your labor really starting to pay off last month, and I think it's going to even continue more this month for sure.
Definitely, definitely. Already this month has already started off hot. We have some other people in Discord that I've seen this morning. But we starting off this month hot. Even the rest of and just getting used to like ebbs and flows. Like I think people don't gotta realize whatever business, whether it's TikTok shop, whatever you got, there's gonna be great days, lower days, good days. So it's like understanding to be patient and be grateful for even making $20 in your day. Obviously go for as much as you can, but just get better. You know what I mean? Don't let that shit like tear you down. You know what I mean? I know I was hitting you up like when I had low days, like, man, I don't know, and you're just like, man, be patient. This is business. If you're gonna do this, then you know what I mean. Be ready for stuff like that. And then all of a sudden you're patient. You stay strong, and then boom, you blow up.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say, when it rains, it pours. Once you get that first bit going, if you play it right, it's hard to lose that momentum in a sense. So I mean, I think from my perspective, I think you're really set up well for the next 3 months minimum. There's these long cycles. I think if you play your cards right,
Right.
and then so. I forget if we talked about this before. Were you in like any other like Discords or anything like that before? Did you like?
I've been in. Can I name them?
No, let's not.
No, can I name them? Yeah. Well, okay. Look, I've been in probably about five of them. About five of them. And the problem with Discords is just like there's so many people in them. I found a few that are decent, but there's just so many people in them, and it's not really. I'm past that like beginner level, so there's nothing really like that good. That's like, oh, like this is sauce. Like, nah, it's nothing really that good. You know what I mean? That's why I think something like your thing and what you have going is way stronger than anything because it's more personal. You know what I mean? There's like, here's a spreadsheet. You know what I mean? This is just, figure it out.
Cool. I do appreciate that. And then, so if you have someone that's on the fence, about working with me, just with the mentorship in general, like, what would you, honest thoughts, like, what would you say to them, whatever that may be?
I would say, look, invest in yourself. Like, you could go buy a car, you go buy some crap, something that's not going to get you nowhere. But if you're going to do anything, invest in yourself. Invest in some type of coaching. This guy, he knows what he's doing. Katie, he knows what he's doing. He knows what's going on, what's going right. If you're going to do anything, invest in yourself. Like it will be probably the best money you've ever spent. And that's really what I'm doing now. Instead of buying anything else, I would just say yeah, I'm spending all my money on me while I'm young. You know what I mean? So I would say if you're on the fence, like get ready for it to take longer for you to see the higher levels. You know what I mean? I wouldn't wait for your future to come to you. I would try to get your future to you as fast as I can, which is another thing I understood too. Is like I want my future to come to me as fast as I can, and I know if I give somebody the time and stuff to give me the knowledge, I know that it's going to come way faster. You know?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so, any final notes you want to leave the viewer with, whether that's TikTok, shop, or just anything in general?
I mean, I think we talked about this, but content creation is probably the best skill ever. Like in the future, AI, it's not like people are they're gonna see AI and stuff, but it's different from seeing a real person. You know what I mean? Who has real expression, real stuff like that. And I think forget about what you think people are gonna think about you. Everybody has this thing when they first start. What are my friends gonna think? Look, it doesn't matter when you start seeing that money coming in. I'll tell you that. Like when you start seeing that money coming in, you not even gonna say nothing, and then people are actually gonna be inspired by you as well. So I would say forget what everybody else says. Do what you need to do to be successful. Because at the end of the day, nobody's gonna give you success. Like you gotta do what you gotta do to be successful. Grind. Nothing is easy. I'm not gonna sit here and say, "Oh, this is just easy." I think some people, you just make a video. That's all you do. Okay, I mean, sure. Then good luck with that. You know what I mean? But this is why you need somebody to train you. So I would say get some coaching, get a mentor, get something that's gonna set you up in the right direction. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll add one final note here. I think Tyreek, you did a really good job again. I think in the beginning there are some things you're like, I think this is the right way. And I'm like, I would disagree with that. I'm glad that so some people, aren't necessarily, even if they think something is right, they're not going to want to do it. And I think, you specifically, you took my feedback and listened, and you executed it very well. But again, I think the thing that I noticed that you got better from the beginning, from the end, is you got better at making content with like you specifically, not trying to be someone else and just focusing on what you do best and leaning into those specific strengths. And I think that's why these numbers are starting to show up, because you're leaning in things that you do better than other people. And more specifically, you just completely balled in, and your content's gotten infinitely better. Really happy for you. I told you, like I remember we had this conversation, I think I guess what was it? Like sometime end of February, March, I was like, dude, like you are in the right spots. Like I would not change anything about what you're doing. Like,
Right.
execution could maybe be a bit better, but I was like, you are in the right spots and it's going to pay off.
Right.
And you trusted that, you stuck with it, and you reaped the rewards last month and this month. I fully expect you to do at least another like 25K for
No,
sure.
definitely, yeah. I see it coming, and it's just like, it was just all a test. Like, it was all a test. Like, do you really want it? It's like, yes, I do. So it's like, okay. Now it's just time to execute even more, do even see what I'm flawed at. And that's what I'm going to do today. You know what I mean? Go over content, go over this and that, and continue just to execute, 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 and try to get, as much as I can, make the most out of my day.
Awesome, man. I appreciate that very much. Again, I'm genuinely very happy for you, and you definitely worked your butt off for this, and you deserve every single dollar. And you're realistically in the top 0.1% of creators now, which is where you definitely want to be. But you got to have the right information. So I appreciate that, Tyreek, and I hope everyone has a good day.
Yep. See you.